Thanks for that. As you talk about the issue of Justice Ganju, we'll come to that, the genocide that's never spoken about. But ladies and gentlemen, there is yet another war that's brewing in Parliament, and this is the fight over the no trust vote. The Congress trying to mount the attack, taking perhaps the central and trying to act as the fulcrum of this newly developed alliance, which a member of parliament from the BJP alleged that majority of the members of parliament of the opposition do not even know the full form of what this abbreviation actually stands for. So that's the level to which the argy-bargy has gone in parliament. But clearly, it was Gaurav Gogoi who moved the trust vote, a voice from the northeast, son of a former chief minister of Assam. And it was yet another person, yet another MP of the BJP who said that his own father had lost a leg while serving in areas like Manipur. So it was, you going to tell me about the facts of this country, or are you going to tell me about the facts of this country? So the debate was hot, it was fiercely contested, and it's going to go on. At least Parliament is functioning. There is debate, not din and disruption, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happened through the day.
देश के मुखिया होने के नाते प्रधानमंत्री सदन में आए, अपनी बात रखे, अपनी संवेदना प्रकट करे और उस पर सारे पार्टी समर्थन दे.
It's the attitude of this government is hubris, there is no other.
उनको दो काम करना है, बेटे को सेट करना है और दामाद को भेंट करना है.
उस समय के यूपीए सरकार को हम हाथ जोड़ के हम उनको मांग करते थे, पुकारते थे कि कभी कभी आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट का तरफ भी ध्यान रखिए.
So let's set up this edition of the Right Stand and debate number one with facts and what happened through the day in Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, where the government decided to counter every punch that was set or sent their way by the opposition with an equally stronger counter punch. In fact, going back and saying, don't forget the history when you yourself were in power. The Narendra Modi-led government facing the second no-trust motion in its last 9 years. The opposition alliance, the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance, had moved a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister and his government late July over the Manipur issue. Now, day one of the debate concluded today with the opposition demanding Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh's resignation. Now, Gaurav Gogoi, who moved the trust motion, began the debate and questioned why hasn't the Prime Minister visited Manipur and demanded Chief Minister Biren Singh's resignation, and also a demand that was echoed by all opposition parties. Lot of halla that happened. The BJP quick on the counter and questioned why didn't Rahul Gandhi not initiate the debate when it was mentioned that he wants to move the debate in the House. BJP slammed the UPA for neglecting Northeast region for decades and listed the vikas that unfolded under the NDA regime. This debate continues into Wednesday, and it is on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, the 10th of August, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to reply to the debate, and also the floor, it will be the vote will be put, and the trust vote will go onto the floor, and we'll see who's got the numbers. Now, when we come to numbers, there is a fact: no trust motions in our history of democracy have never worked. Irrespective of coalitions, whatever of the story, have a look at this. Jawaharlal Nehru faced the motion twice in 1963, won both times. Then you had Indira Gandhi, who faced the motion 15 times, and she survived all 15. Then Morarji Desai faced the motion twice but had to quit in 1979. Rajiv Gandhi faced no trust motion only once in 1987. Narasimha Rao faced 3 no-confidence motions as Prime Minister. Atal Bihari Vajpayee lost floor test in 1999 but won it in 2003. Then Narendra Modi survived no trust motion in 2018 by 195 votes. So if you look at our history, barring one or two occasions where the Prime Minister had to go or the no trust motion actually survived, and that was in those coalition times. When you have absolute brute majority, is this nothing but a lost cause? Is it a lost battle that this alliance is actually fighting? That is a big question, ladies and gentlemen. Why do we ask that question? If Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the NDA has absolute brute majority in the Lok Sabha, they were able to get the numbers to even pass the Delhi Ordinance Bill in the Rajya Sabha, and comfortable numbers. You think they will not be able to manage a no trust vote like this? Is the government allowing the no trust vote just because they are confident of the numbers? Those are the issues. Let's try and understand who said what. Let's look at the majority mark. The majority mark is 272. The government's count is 365. It's 365. Opposition is at 141. Undecided are 32. इसमें से भी कुछ उधर चले जाएंगे, नहीं भी जाएंगे, कोई फर्क पड़ेगा? Is it going to make any difference? Now let's look at the undecided. The BJP has 301. The Shinde Group, RLJP, BJD, YSRCP and others. So that makes it 365 there. And look at the opposition. 141, 51, 23, 24, 16, 6 and 12. So these 32, even if they go here, this halfway mark is 272. They are way over. So why do all of this is the big question. What is the opposition trying to prove, or specifically the Congress party and some of its allies of convenience, or this committee of convenience? What are they doing? And they are also a committee of contradiction. But let's also try and understand why this no trust vote has been moved. They have used Manipur as the base, Manipur as the ground for doing it. Now, is there any basis for this? Why we say this? There have been several. Let's try and understand why a no trust motion has been moved at this point. Let's try and take those numbers, even as the big guns go. Decoding the opposition strategy. The opposition knows they don't have the numbers in the Lok Sabha. But what is it that they want to do? Do they want to create? They don't want Manipur debate under Rule 176. But no trust motion is to force the Prime Minister to speak on Manipur. And Rule 167. Opposition wants to mount the pressure on the BJP to sack Manipur CM N. Biren Singh. But Biren Singh, in his show of strength, has stood there very, very strongly, and there is a very strong majority support for Biren Singh. So this is the opposition strategy. What is the government trying to say? The government is saying, let parliament function, let us show the absolute brute majority, and we'll also show the chinks and how shallow this cobbled up alliance is. No confidence motion among the opposition is the first attack. The Prime Minister, who slammed this entire block of convenience, and he said voting in the Rajya Sabha was a semi-final of 2024. Corruption and appeasement, quit I.N.D.I.A. So he's turned quit India and saying corruption, appeasement, parivarwad, sab quit India. Alliance of corrupt and arrogance. Hard hitting. UPA is like an assembled unit of disjointed parts. So these are the attacks, and this is what the Prime Minister, did to rev up some of the ministers who then took the attack on the floor of the House. Prime Minister was not there on the floor of the House. So these are the messages that have gone in. Let's also listen in to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his address to the party MPs said, where he congratulated the Rajya Sabha members for the semi-final win in the voting for the Delhi Services Bill. Listen into what he had to say.
कईयों के मन में प्रश्न है कि अविश्वास प्रस्ताव आया क्यों? न संख्या है, न सदन में बहुमत है, और फिर भी सदन में इस प्रस्ताव को लाया क्यों गया? 30 साल के बाद देश में पूर्ण बहुमत के साथ बनी हुई सरकार को जिस गति से काम किया है, उस पर फिर से एक बार विश्वास प्रकट करें। आज यहां ये भी बात कही गई कि आप चौकीदार नहीं भागीदार हैं। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं गर्व के साथ कहना चाहता हूं, हम चौकीदार भी हैं, हम भागीदार भी हैं, लेकिन हम आपकी तरह सौदागर नहीं है, ठेकेदार नहीं। ना हम सौदागर हैं, ना हम ठेकेदार हैं, हम भागीदार हैं, देश के गरीबों के दुख के भागीदार हैं।
Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP with us. Tehseen Poonawala, Political Analyst, and Nalin Mehta, Group Consulting Editor, also with us. Namaste, Jai Hind to the lady and the gentleman. Let me first start with Nalin Mehta, because if Tehseen Poonawala and Sanju Verma get into their elements, Nalin, आपका talk time वैसे ही chop हो जाएगा. So let me start with you and ask you this: what's the thought process behind this no confidence motion? Is it just to bring the Prime Minister into Parliament and get him to talk about Manipur?
So it's very clear, Anand, the opposition never had the numbers for a no confidence motion. They wanted the Prime Minister to come and speak on Manipur, and the BJP didn't oblige. They found the no confidence motion as a roundabout way to ensure that the Prime Minister speaks on issues around Manipur, because that's what many of them were supposed to raise. But in today's debate, at least on the evidence of many of the speakers that I saw from the opposition, barring Tarun Gogoi, I did not see that much about Manipur. I saw people speaking on a whole host of issues. But fundamentally, they thought it's a way to get the Prime Minister to engage with it. But it may be a double whammy, because in a straight-on contest, it's also giving the Prime Minister an opportunity to respond with the narrative of the BJP, to set the narrative ahead of 2024.
Tehseen Poonawala, there are a lot, I don't say you, but there are a lot of people who tend to turn around and troll us as Godi sometimes. आज कांग्रेस पार्टी गोदी की तरह ट्रोल हो गई in Parliament, and not a lot of people liked it.
So, Namaskar Anand, thank you for having me on the show. And just one factual correction to Nalin, for whom I have a lot of respect, and I'd always keep quiet if Nalin speaks, because I take him very seriously. It was Gaurav Gogoi, not Tarun Gogoi. Tarun Gogoi was his father. Just a technical error, but
My bad there, Tehseen.
No. But I know it was a slip of the tongue.
No,
but let me make the last.
With due respect to Tarun Gogoi ji, another example of Parivarwad there, a son who had nothing to do in politics, studied abroad, came back in and was retrofitted into Assam politics. But yes, it was Gaurav Gogoi, and he did hold his ground. We have to credit him that he did hold his ground and his own as he moved the no trust motion. Yes, please.
Okay. And in fact, I told Gaurav just 3-4 days ago that he is a very good speaker and he needs to speak more. So, and I don't want to get into this whole debate of media. Let's understand a couple of things. We as citizens, and I as a Congress supporter who is against the BJP, want my Prime Minister to speak inside Parliament to answer questions. I don't want him to do man ki baat in his speech. I want him to answer questions. Now, the most honorable Prime Minister answered us on Manipur. He spoke outside Parliament. Why can't he say the same thing and answer us inside Parliament? That's point number one. Why do we want a Prime Minister to address us? Because I know that the Honorable Home Minister said, I am ready to speak on every issue. There are two reasons we want a Prime Minister to answer us. Number one, Biren Singh had to have his tweets deleted, kind of fuel that he put in fire. And he's, quite frankly, Anand, Biren Singh has been an embarrassment and should have gone long time back. But more importantly than that, when the Honorable Home Minister went to Manipur after the whole incident happened, this is towards the end of May, 29th May odd, and the incidents that we are talking about were 3rd, 4th, 5th May. Biren Singh obviously did not brief the Home Minister about the women that were paraded, not just two. He said many women have been paraded and the other things that happened. Otherwise, I'm sure the Home Minister would have made sure action taken place. So obviously, he didn't brief the Home Minister, or the Home Minister failed. You can take your pick in which. I don't think the Home Minister failed. I think Biren Singh didn't brief him enough. Number three, there have been severe allegations on the Manipur police, the Manipur Rifles, which is the Manipur police, of non-cooperating with the army. If they would have cooperated on the 3rd with the army, that incident on 4th would not have happened. And the army's put this out. And even today, Manipur police have now filed cases against the army. Therefore, the Prime Minister, this involves a lot of agencies needs to speak. Lastly, the Chief Minister has gone on record saying weapons are coming in through Myanmar, which China is supplying, which means it's the Prime Minister's domain. Now, I don't, for 1 minute, let's leave the politics of Mehti cookie out. All I want as an Indian citizen is my Prime Minister address me at a time when my country is grieving. If my Prime Minister can go to America, Australia, Egypt, which is great, and I'm proud that he went, why can't he talk inside the temple of democracy? Why can't he answer tough questions? The tough questions is what he needs to answer specifically. His rhetoric, Aapka naam Gandhi kyun hai, Nehru kyun hai, is not what I want for my Prime Minister. He's my Prime Minister. I oppose him, I want. How else do I get him in Parliament? Since Parliament has started, how much has the Prime Minister attended? Let's be honest. And that's why I want my Prime Minister to come. So we have no choice but to call of this so that the Prime Minister speak. Do I know that the Prime Minister is going to have the last word? Yes. Do I know he's going to blame everyone from Nehru to Rajiv Gandhi ji for it? Yes. But at least you'll get him to talk. What else does a desperate opposition do?
So you agree that the opposition is desperate? You agree that the opposition is
In
losing
national
the no...
interest.
Yeah,
In national interest.
You agree that the opposition is losing the no trust vote.
They don't
But
have
you
the numbers. You
also
don't
believe that this was... You also agree that this was a strategy to get the Prime Minister on the floor of the House and ask him to... and get him to respond. Sanju Verma?
Okay, Anand, I heard Tehseen very carefully. I just have a couple of points to make. I think you gave a brilliant introduction where you said as far as numbers go, the BJP-led NDA is far ahead at 365. The opposition is at 141. And Anand, even if I have to be generous and give the opposition another 9 seats from the TRS/BRS, still their tally would not go up to beyond 150. And the majority number stands at 272. 272 ki bajaye BJP has 365 in its kitty. And currently in the no confidence motion, if there is one thing that matters, it is the political arithmetic. And anybody who says otherwise is fooling himself or herself. I will just say a couple of things based on what Tehseen said. First and foremost, under Article 75 of the Constitution, the Prime Minister is the head of the cabinet and he decides through his cabinet and his cabinet secretariat how to allocate responsibilities. Amit Shah, by virtue of being the Union Home Minister, is the man with the domain expertise in terms of the Manipur issue, and he has openly told repeatedly, he's reached out to senior Congress leaders like Mallikarjun Kharge, he's reached out to leaders from the TMC, and yesterday he actually said that on the 11th of August, I'm willing to take up any matter pertaining to Manipur which the opposition has concerns on. Point number 3, even if you look at the allocation of business rules of 1961, they clearly say that the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi in this case, he will decide when to speak, whether to speak outside the parliament, whether to speak on the floor of the parliament, and for how long to speak. The Prime Minister is not going to be dictated by a Tehseen Poonawala or a Sanju Verma, or even for that matter by a very consummate anchor called Anand Narasimhan. And now the most important point. Look at the entire narrative of the opposition. Be it demonetization, Ram Mandir, fuel prices, farm laws, Pegasus, Rafale. Each time the government has said we are willing to have a discussion on some or the other pretext, opposition ka nara raha hai, scoot, shoot and then scurry away. And I want to say one thing to Tehseen. Yes, Manipur is a cocktail of various issues. It's not just about cookies versus mighties. It's not about the hills versus the plains. It is not just about Modi government's unrelenting attack on narco-terrorism or on the illegal poppy cultivation which has taken over the hill areas of Manipur, and wrongfully so. I think ever since Manipur became a state, Anand, and I'll be very quick with this, that your audience needs to know. On the 21st of January 1972, Manipur became a full-fledged bona fide state. And I can tell you with full confidence and responsibility that in the last 53 years, barring the last 3 months, in the last 7 or 6 years of the BJP ruling Manipur in the state and Narendra Modi at the center, these last 6 years have been the most peaceful for Manipur ever since it became a state. Because don't forget, the BJP came to power in 2017 in Manipur. And mujhe ek baat bataiye, Anand, please, I'll take 10 seconds more. The Assam Accord was signed in 1985. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The Mizo Accord was signed in 1986. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The Tripura Accord was signed in 1988. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The Bodo Accord and Karbi-Anglong Accords were signed in 1993 and 1991 respectively. But none of these accords, the promises to indigenous Assamese or indigenous Mizos or indigenous Tripuris or indigenous Bodo people were not fulfilled. That work was done by the Narendra Modi dispensation.
See, I tell you what, my point is, this is what you're doing.
On the Northeast,
Sanjuji.
On Modi's outreach of the Northeast, please don't fool yourself. Modi has done more for the Northeast than the Congress can ever
please
dream
yield
of.
now. Please yield. This is what is important, Sanjuji. The fact is, the opposition keeps. This is where the opposition succeeds, and Nalin, it's important. The opposition succeeds in dragging the government onto the turf where it wants to fight the battle. And the opposition has been able to consistently get the government to come to the turf, despite the efforts sometimes by the government to try and steer clear of that path and, shift the theatre of action. The opposition has to be credited for this. See, the idea is that if you do not want to talk about Manipur, then you got to talk about something else. But the fact is, the opposition has been able to force the government to come and talk, so much so that an erudite national spokesperson of the BJP is, despite saying that we've got a yeoman record about Manipur and what we have done in the Northeast, has to come and defend the government on Manipur. That's exactly is the opposition strategy, Nalin. And this is where the government has perhaps missed a trick. The government has not, will you say that the government has failed to see that the opposition by hook or crook or by twisting or turning, however it is, despite being in such small numbers on the floor of the House in Parliament, has been able to get its will on the floor, because eventually the Prime Minister will have to touch upon Manipur because the no trust motion vote has been brought on Manipur.
So, Anand, Manipur is something that concerns, it deeply concerns a whole lot of people across India, not just those in the Northeast or in Manipur itself because of the tyranny of distance. It is something that ought to be debated on the floor of the House. And it's perfectly legitimate in a democracy to demand a debate on it and to have a debate on it. In fact, a debate should be welcome, and what the Home Minister says would be very welcome on the floor of the House. Now, the fact that it has not been spoken about in the past. The past is a foreign country. The past is, while the BJP may be right in pointing out factually that in certain points of time in the past when violence may have been of a greater magnitude or of a similar magnitude, it wasn't debated on the floor of the House necessarily, or the Prime Minister didn't speak. The fact of the matter is that was also a different time. Today we are in the age of 24/7 media, 24/7 Twitter and YouTube and so on. When a tragedy or when an atrocity like what's happened in Manipur happens, I think it's perfectly fair to demand a debate. Now, I'm without taking a side on, there is a BJP government on the ground, there's a BJP government in the centre. I think questions are legitimate and the government should be able to answer them on the floor of the House. The fact, if the government has good answers, it should give it on the floor of the House.
No, but the fact is that the government is ready to give the answer. The government is ready to give the answer, and it had always been ready to give the answer. And it was the Union Home Minister who said, I will stand there and answer, and let's have a discussion under Rule 176, if I remember correctly, or 167, that it will be a 2.5-hour discussion. It's the adamance of the opposition that they want to get the Prime Minister to speak about it, and then they will get by hook or crook their will. This adamance of the opposition, why wasn't it there in the past when a 7% vote share led government was formed in Manipur? When there were months and months of blockade, why was this adamance of the opposition not witnessed for me?
I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't there earlier, the sheer, the bloody-mindedness on insisting on this demand. It's what the opposition thinks or believes that on this time, it's on the offensive. It feels it is on the front foot. It feels it is an issue on which it can put the BJP on the back foot, rightly or wrongly. I think that's the belief. They also believe after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, the Congress believes that Rahul Gandhi is on the upswing. They feel that they want
it's
to.
Not just about Nalin. It's not just about what the Congress believes.
It's the lead up to 2024. It's purely about that.
It's how the BJP's approach has been when it is in opposition, and how the BJP's approach has been. It's been belligerent at times, but it's not been belligerent at all times. The BJP with brute majority in government has not been able to tell the opposition, sit down, you want to talk on Manipur, talk on 176, otherwise not talking. Your no confidence motion can go fly a kite. Because this is how the Congress spoke to the opposition in the past. You want business in the opposition? You want who? Where was it? Did we all? Is it there in our consciousness that there was a government picked by the Congress party with 7% vote share in Manipur? On whose right? And was this not a poppy issue in Manipur in the past? These are all realities. Himanta Biswa Sarma has spoken on this entire matter and developments in Parliament today. Just quickly want to play that out.
If you see that all this has happened during the Congress regime, I want to clearly state that because of the wrong policy adopted by Congress party during the formative years, today Northeastern state is not able to resolve various disputes that exist in our region from the time of we attaining the freedom. They have created a situation. They have put provision in the constitution. They have created safeguard in the constitution, either which is creating various issues, various problems among the communities, either or they have not done something which should have been done in very beginning to resolve the conflict.
So Himanta Biswa Sarma passing on the blame squarely on the shoulders of the Congress party, saying all this bawal is because of what should have been done in the past or what you did not do in the past. So that's what he's saying. Meanwhile, there's another development in the upper house, ladies and gentlemen. Need to bring you up to speed on this. Now, look at this. This is what Jairam Rameshji has tweeted. Jairam Rameshji has said that today at 1300 hours, the floor leaders of India parties in the Rajya Sabha submitted a privilege motion against Leader of the House Piyush Goyal for addressing the opposition as all of them traitors. Nothing less than an apology from him on the floor of the House when it is an order will do is what he has posted. And then thereafter, there was an addendum. I just want to also show this. He said the India parties walked out of the Rajya Sabha today for the rest of the day because of continued refusal of Modi government to allow an immediate discussion on Manipur on the basis of mutually negotiated motion, and the continued refusal of Leader of the House Piyush Goyal to apologize for the highly objectionable, completely unacceptable remarks he made against the leaders of the India parties. But did Piyush Goyal say traitors? Listen to what happened.
For the suspension of Mr. Derek O'Brien for the remainder of this session for continuously and willfully disturbing the proceedings of the House, for disobeying the chair and for continuously creating disturbance in the House. Mr. Gupta, with your permission, I move for a motion that Shri Derek O'Brien be suspended from the services of the House for the remaining part of the current session for his unruly behavior and becoming of a member of Rajya Sabha today, the 8th of August 2023, shouting slogans from the well of the House, thereby disregarding the authority of the chair, and from his chair disregarding every instruction of the chair, and bringing disrepute and shame to this august House.
The other portion there, and we'll come back to that in just a bit, that's another aside, that he did call the opposition ghamandiya. That means arrogant. But there is no record of him actually calling them traitors. So that's the counter the government is making. But Sanju Verma, quick response. And then Tehseen, I've just got 2 minutes, so one minute each, please. When I interrupt, please yield. Yes, Sanju Verma.
Okay. You know, Anand, I just have this to say. Politics mein jo jeeta wahi Sikandar, and you know the opposition has been saying why not remove Biren Singh, why not impose Article 356. My limited point is Nehru imposed Article 356 7 times, Indira Gandhi 49 times, P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh together 21 times, and Rajiv Gandhi 6 times, a total of 83 times. Narendra Modi is not like a Rajiv or an Indira. Narendra Modi and Atal Bihari Vajpayee together have imposed Article 356 till now only 9 times. My limited point is Article 356 has to be used very sparingly and judiciously, and for people to say N. Biren Singh ko hata do, and because the Modi government did not do that, that is also one of the key reasons for moving the no confidence motion. That argument is a whole lot of hogwash and does not hold water. And just 10 seconds more.
Ma'am, I really don't have the 10 seconds. Please
10
yield.
seconds more.
Please yield. I have to be
Okay,
fair to
okay,
Tehseen
fine.
also. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, Tehseen.
okay.
Thank you.
Look, you can blame everybody from Nehruji to Rajivji to Manmohan Singhji. The fact is, you're in government. The buck stops at you. Anand, if tomorrow your show does not get ratings, you can't blame the former anchors. That's why you're successful, because you get the rating. The buck stops at you. Prime Minister Modi and Biren Singh should have said, don't elect us. We are going to blame everything. That's point number one. Point number two, we want a discussion under Rule 267 in Rajya Sabha, which every other vice president and chairman agreed to, except this vice president. 176
Rule
a short duration
267 has
discussion.
been used only 11 times in post-independent India's history. Only on 11
That's
occasions,
not true.
Rule
That is
267
not true.
has been used.
Anand, this is my
So
time.
do not
Okay,
lie.
Anand,
please,
this is my
please,
time.
Sanjay ji, please. Thank
Only
you.
No, I'm just
Nehru Singh
correcting
Shekhawat-
it.
Please.
Rule
Just
267 is used
Nehru
very,
Singh
very
Shekhawat-
sparingly.
Okay, please,
Just
let him make
Nehru
his
Singh
point.
Shekhawat-
Yeah.
Just Bhairo Singh Shekhawat ji allowed it 4 times. Hamid Ansari allowed it 4 times. Shankar Dayal Sharma allowed it 4 times. I don't know why she's saying 11 times. All these vice
right.
presidents.
Right.
Please check your records.
Right. But
you-
my
you
point is,
educate
at the
yourself.
end of the
Venkaiah
day,
Naidu
we'll have
allowed
to
it.
see what the Prime Minister says. He'll have the last word. How much of it is focused on Manipur and how much of it is further on decimating, demolishing and questioning this entire construct of the opposition. We'll have to wait and watch. But for the moment, thank you for a fiery debate. Thank you very, very much. We're going to take a very short break.